go ahead and get started. As we can see here, we're going to do a class on remote Falcon today. This is a pretty interesting addition to FPP. Some people out there kind of what got this started. I went to the Florida Mega Mini this year, and I was talking to a guy that this was his second or third year, and I started talking to him about, his setup and everything and Remote Falcon. And he said, "What is that? What is Remote Falcon?" For him being in the hobby for a couple of years and having never heard of it, I realized that this is a pretty awesome feature that a lot of people might have been missing out on. So I gave a presentation at the Carolina Mini on it. People seemed to really enjoy it. There was a request to do it here for the virtual Christmas summit, and that way you guys can add this to your show, or at least know what it's about, and throw it into your list of potentials. So let's go on to the next slide. So we'll start off with some credentials here. Who am I? I am Phil Brooks. I'm the ginger beard man, so you can't really see me right now, but I'll flip over to my camera in just a minute. We're going to use that as part of the demo. I've got a little setup here with the candy cane behind me, and I'm going to allow you guys to go in and actually use Remote Falcon to change the colors on that candy cane from your desktop or laptop, your phone, whatever you're using right now. So I am also the owner of Blinky Pixels. So blinkypixels.com. We sell pixels and pixel accessories and that kind of thing. If you haven't heard of us, go check us out at the website, and we can help you out with stuff that you need for your show. And as far as like my W-2, my 9 to 5 that I've been doing for the last 16 years, I'm an automation engineer for the Department of the Navy. And so got an IT background, and that's kind of what got me involved in Pixels. With that, I have a ECE, electrical and computer engineering degree from Clemson. So all of it kind of merges together. So I really liked Christmas, and I really like the IT, and this fits both of those interests. So what we'll cover today with Remote Falcon. We're kind of going to go through all of it, right? So we're going to start at the very beginning, and we're going to show you how to get signed up for it. And then once you get signed up, you have to connect it over to your instance of FPP, right? Your Falcon Pi player. So I'm going to show you how to log into Remote Falcon. There's a website for that. You're going to get a key, if you will, and that key is what you're going to put into FPP. That's going to link the two so they start talking, and that will actually make your show become interactive with your users. Then we're going to go through the settings, some of the different settings that you can put in. There's quite a few different things that we can adjust, some tips and tricks, and a personal URL redirect. So I think I got a little bit ahead of myself here. What is Remote Falcon, right? So Remote Falcon is a way for you to allow your users to interact with your show. So let's see if I can flip over to my camera. I don't know where that would be. Oh, let me stop sharing, and then it should flip over to that and start video. All right, you should be seeing my camera now, I think. But right here behind me, I have a candy cane. So what that candy cane is going to represent, it's going to represent like your regular show. So whenever you're playing your sequences and you're doing your normal show, that's what this candy cane is going to represent right now. So it's red right now, and it's just a 10-second sequence. So that sequence is going to go over and over and over. I just have it on a loop. When we get into Remote Falcon, then you're going to be able to go and change that candy cane from red to green or blue or yellow. And what that's going to do is that's going to represent a user or a viewer coming into to view your show, and they're going to be able to select the song. And when they select that song, then it's going to interact with your show, and it's going to play on your house. So we're just using this candy cane back here as a representation for that. So just wanted to kind of give you a visualization of what we have set up here before we actually get into Remote Falcon. So yeah, the whole thing is about allowing the users to interact with your actual setup in your show. So I will share again and bring this back up. Actually, let's take that one away and let's go to this one. So I want that to go away, this one. So you should be seeing the Remote Falcon website right now.
Did you reshare?
Did I?
I
Oh,
just see
I
my
have,
camera still.
yep,
There
I
we
have
go.
to hit share. All right.
Cool.
So you're seeing the Remote Falcon website.
Yep, we're
So
good.
good. Awesome. Thank you. So to get started, you're going to go to remotefalcon.com. And right here, you're going to go to sign up. So once you sign up, you're going to put in your uh, name. And there's only one really important aspect to when you sign up that you want to get right. So right here is the show name. And the reason that that's really important is later we're going to see that the show name that I have set up for this presentation is Flashy Little Lights. And whatever your show name is, that's going to end up being the URL, the web address that your users are going to type in. Now, we're going to talk about using QR codes and some stuff like that so the users don't actually have to type anything in. We're also going to talk about like a redirect. So for my personal show, I have bradfordlights.com. And when my viewers go to that, then it redirects them to Remote Falcon. But whatever you put here in the show name, that's going to be your your show name in Remote Falcon. So just be aware of that whenever you sign up, because that's what your users are going to be typing in order to interact with your show. So once you get in here and you get signed up, then I think you have to do, it's going to send you an email and then you have to do the email verification and whatnot. Pretty standard stuff. And then you're going to come to this main screen here. So this main screen, yours is going to be blank. You're not going to have any viewers or anything, not yet when you first sign up. You're going to want to come up here, and we'll talk a little bit about that. I'm like a data junkie, so I love being able to come in here and see, how many viewers have come in one night or versus another, and then like what songs that they requested and that kind of thing. So there's some really good data in here that you'll be able to use, but you have to get it set up first. So come over here to this setting, and then you go to your account settings. And in here, you'll see this remote token. So this remote token is what we're going to use to link your Remote Falcon account over to your instance of FPP. Now, this remote token you don't want to share with anyone. It is consider it like a password. So if somebody were to get access to this remote token, and you all are going to see mine in just a minute. So this is just a demo account, it's not my actual real show. But if somebody were to get access to this remote token, then they would be able to put that into their instance of FPP, and they could interact and kind of mess with things and screw around with their show. So keep that a secret. That's just between you and your instance of FPP. So, and here you'll come and you will copy it. And we're going to come into FPP at this point. So I'm assuming you've all got it set up. Ron Ron Armstrong just did a presentation, I think in the last hour. Some of you might have been in that class on like using FPP as your show player, but um, I'm assuming all of you are going to have an instance of FPP set up. So in order to link Remote Falcon to your instance of FPP, we're going to have to install a plugin. So to install the plugin, we're going to come over here to this content setup, and we're going to go to the plugin manager. And there are a lot of cool plugins. If you haven't been in here and looked around, I definitely recommend coming, kind of scrolling through. You can install them and remove them and play around with them. There's some really cool stuff in here. But a lot of that is for another day. Right now, we are concerned with Remote Falcon. So you can type in, I already have it installed, but you can come in and you can type in Remote Falcon, and then you're going to click install. So once it installs, then you might need to restart your instance of FPP in order for that install to kind of kick in and start working. And uh, yeah, so it's a quick install. It's only going to take a few seconds. And what that's going to do is if everything goes correctly, it's going to look like this. And you will have a new option here under plugins. So you will select this option, and there's not a whole lot in here, but this is where you're going to paste that remote token. So the remote token that we got over here from our remote Falcon from our login, we're going to put that into our instance of FPP over here. And what that's going to do is that's going to link our two together, your account with Remote Falcon to your FPP instance. And there's only one other main thing in here that I would like to show. So this remote playlist. So kind of the way Remote Falcon works is in FPP, we've got a playlist set up. So if we come in here and we look at our playlist, this is my main playlist. So that's what's playing behind me that I showed you earlier with the red candy cane. And in this main playlist, I just have this 10-second sequence. You would have, all of your typical songs and have your schedule in here. What I like to do is I like to create a second playlist called Remote Falcon. So in here, I can put all of those songs that are in my main playlist, and I can put additional songs. So for my personal show, I only have about 10 to 12 songs that play in my main playlist, but I have probably 25 or 30 songs sequenced. So the viewers, if they come and they don't interact with my show and they just go out there and sit out front and they watch my show, they're only going to get those 10 or 12 songs. And they have no idea that these other, 15, 20 songs exist. So I put them in this Remote Falcon playlist. So this Remote Falcon will have every single song that I have sequenced, and you can set it up however you want. But what this is going to do is whenever they go to that URL of Remote Falcon, then it's going to give them the option of playing this song. So you might have a song that's not a regular part of your playlist, but in Remote Falcon, they'll be able to play it. So that's why I set up two. So this one, I have the blue, green, and yellow. And then in this main, I just have the red. And I left the red out of the other one just for demonstration purposes. But for my personal show, I would have put the red in here as well. So when we go in here to this remote playlist, then you'll see you have a drop down and all of your playlists are going to be available in here. And for this, I'm going to choose Remote Falcon. And what that's going to do when I hit resync, and it'll do it automatically, I think the first time that you come in and you sync your remote token up. But it's going to take all the songs in that playlist, that Remote Falcon playlist that you have, and it's going to sync them up over here into your Remote Falcon account. So if we come over here into sequences, we can see that this candy cane blue, candy cane green, candy cane yellow, these sequences are now available for Remote Falcon. And they came in here because we chose this Remote Falcon playlist, and that playlist contained those sequences. And just kind of a quick visualization. So right here is something we're going to get into later. This is what your actual show page will look like. And there you can customize that however you want, but we'll talk about that. But right here is where those sequences show up. So If I click on this candy cane blue right now, you can see that it has 1 vote. And with the settings that I have set up right now, then this candy cane red is going to finish. And then once it finishes, then now it's going to play this candy cane blue. And the options that are available down here are the ones that we set up in that uh, playlist right here. So kind of a cool way to keep it separate and to add more capabilities for your viewers. If you have a song that you don't really want to put in your playlist, but you want to have it available, you can do it that way. So we will continue on with some of these settings in here. So the next one is interrupt schedule. I keep this off for my personal show. And what this will do is, let's say you have a song playing and somebody drives up and they vote to play something. They go to your website, your Remote Falcon website, and they vote for a song. Well, if you have this checked, then what that's going to do is it's going to stop, like immediately stop that current song that's playing, and it's going to play their request. And what can happen is if you have multiple viewers out there watching, then it's going to seem really jumpy. I'm like, why did that song just stop in the middle and it started playing this other song? So I keep it off, and by keeping it off, it will finish the current song that's playing, and then it will play the request after that. So it doesn't seem as jumpy. It's a more it's a smoother transition, if you will. And then you just have some check plugins. So this is just going to do some basic checks, make sure everything's working like it should. And we start getting into some of the settings here. Now, these are the only settings that you have the capability of changing from within your FPP instance. The rest of the settings you're actually going to change from your account on the Remote Falcon website. So in here, you have the fetch time, right? So you're probably not going to want to change this. If you start having some issues or whatnot, then you can come in and play around with this. But most of the time, you're just going to leave these as default, and everything should work fine. If you start experiencing issues, yeah, come in and mess with them. What you'll more likely use is this restart listener and stop listener. So this is pretty much the communication between your instance of FPP and the Remote Falcon website. So there's a listener, right? The listener is constantly checking to see if somebody has voted for a song. And sometimes things can get hung up. So if you make any major changes or anything, sometimes it's best to come in and restart this listener or to stop the listener and then start it back up. I'm going to show you a way that you can automate this, which is what I do with my show. So when I first set up Remote Falcon, I had to come in here and manually do this. Like things weren't working, the request wasn't working. And I'd come in and I'd mess with the listener, and then all of a sudden, it'd start going again. James Vance, who is the developer of Remote Falcon, he just recently did a big upgrade on it. And a lot of that might be fixed now. But if you are noticing, if you vote for a song and it's not working like you expect it to, come in and restart this listener. That's probably what's happening with it. And then that just kind of resets the communication between the two. And most of the time it'll get going again. So that kind of covers the initial configuration that you have. And then from within the actual login on the Remote Falcon website is where you're going to do like the rest of your configuration. So we saw here in the beginning, this is your main dashboard. So we can see that we have 2 active viewers right now. So some of you might have already gone to the website and you are looking at, the instance that I built here for this demo. And throughout your show, you'll be able to see like just some basic data in here, which is, I think, really cool because you can get an idea of how many people are sitting out front without actually staring out the window. And looking at them, even though I think most of us do that anyways. At least I do. But so we'll get into some of these settings here. So right now, if we look at this screen here, this is what your viewers are going to see. And you can customize all of this, but you can see right now I have it set to on air. This viewer control, if I want to not allow viewers to vote for songs anymore, I can turn it off. Now you can see this change to off air. And when it changed to off air, now nobody can vote for anything anymore. It just shows my show hours. And basically, this is, like your show's not running. You don't want to allow people to play anything in your house. Your lights are off, right? Um, if you want to allow people to vote, then you turn this back on. And now we're back on air and people have the option to vote. Now I'm going to show you how to automate this as well. So you don't have to come in here whenever you start your show and manually turn it on and off. We're going to do that through our scheduler in FPP. And all of this is going to be automated. So you can turn on the option for people to vote and turn it off right before your show goes off. And then the viewer control mode. So you pretty much have two options in here. You have a voting option and you have a jukebox option. So right now we're showing a voting option. So the way I have it currently set up is you can come in here and you can select one of these songs. So these colors represent a song. And I have it set up to where a viewer can only select one song, and then I'll show you real quick. So if I select blue, then it says, okay, it accepted that. And then if I try to do blue again, it tells me don't be a Grinch, well, it's only a 10-second sequence. So right here, it tells me don't be a Grinch. You can only vote once per round. So a round is essentially a song long. So while the blue song is playing, then I can vote for another song, but I can only vote once while that song is playing. And that kind of keeps people from spamming. So you don't want somebody to come in and, while a 5-minute song is playing, somebody just spams the next song and they get 100 votes in there. You can limit them to just one vote. And then once the next song comes on, the voting resets, and then they have regained their vote for the next round. And then you can also allow people to, so this vote here, right? Somebody just voted for something that's gonna play next, the yellow one. And now if I select blue, and it's a little bit laggy right now, but if I select blue, then it's gonna save that for the next round. So these will stack up. So if 3 people vote for blue, and only 2 people have voted for green, then blue is going to play next, and then green will follow after that, and so on and so forth. So it's gonna kind of read down here, and it's going to play the one with the highest votes, and it will move down. You have the option of clearing that every song, or you have the option of allowing it to stick or persist beyond multiple songs. I prefer to allow it to persist. That way, somebody sitting out there that has been sitting through 2 or 3 songs, eventually their song will make it to the top, and they'll be able to hear their request. But we'll go through some of those here. So that's kind of how voting works. And then jukebox. Jukebox is just like a jukebox that you imagine, in a restaurant, bar, dance hall. What we'll use. So you go up to the jukebox, you put your quarter in, and you choose a song. If you put another quarter in and you choose another song, well, then they're going to play back to back. So that's kind of the way that works. There's no voting or anything. It's just when somebody selects a song, that's what's going to play next. And you have a couple of options in here with the jukebox. So you can have your cue depth. So 0, it doesn't matter. Somebody could come in and select all 30 of your songs, and then it's going to go through all of them. If you put the queue depth at 1, then it's only going to allow one song to queue up. Once that plays, then the queue opens back up, and then somebody else will be able to throw another song in that queue. So play around with that depending on how you want to set it up. What could happen here? Somebody pulls up, and let's say you have your queue depth as unlimited. somebody pulls up, they queue up 10 songs, they listen to 30 seconds of the first one and they leave. So now your playlist has got to go through all those other songs before anybody else can have their request in. So uh, play around with this. It just depends on your audience and how, your personal preference, how you want to set it up. And then the request limit here is I think the way this works is one person can come in and they can request up to 3 songs. And when a sequence can be requested if it aren't. No. So what this one is 3 songs have to play before. So I play song yellow, and then 3 other songs have to play before song yellow can be requested again. So it won't let somebody just queue up song yellow, 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 all day long. And then the voting, we have the prevent multiple votes. So that's what I was talking about in here. So you only get 1 vote per song. Once the song is over with, then you get another vote. So you can set that up however you like. If I take away prevent multiple votes, then it's kind of difficult because these are just 1 second song or 10 seconds sequences. But yeah, so we can really spam this up and get it pretty high. And let's try to spam the blue. So I just keep clicking on it and see now it's really queuing up. So one person can really come in here and spam it. So I like to keep it on, and that limits 1 vote per person per song. And then the reset votes after round. So a round is essentially a song long. So I don't reset the votes. That way these can queue up. But what you can do is when the song's over with, if you select this, then it's a fair playing field. As soon as that song is over with, everything is reset to 0. And then, whatever song gets the most votes, then that's the one that's going to play next. We purposely skipped over this viewer page. We're going to go over that last. Not last, but kind of the last of the settings, because that is how you're going to set up your actual page here and what it looks like and all the information that's on it and that kind of thing. Because you really want to come in and customize this for your particular show. And we have a few additional settings in here. So we can do a public service announcement. So if you'd like to tell people, hey, don't turn around in the neighbors' driveways, don't park over there. If you have a donation box or whatever kind of a PSA, then you can select this here. And then you would have that sequence and you would use that sequence in here, and you can tell it how often you want it to play. So do you want it to play every song? Do you want it to play every 10 songs? However you want to set that up. And then you also have some safeguards for whether the viewer is present or not. So with this is off, then everyone here that's watching this presentation right now is allowed to vote. And it doesn't matter where your distance is. So what can happen is somebody can come to your show and they can get your URL for your remote Falcon, and then they can fly back home. I'm on the East Coast, so they could fly back home to the West Coast, and they could still vote for your show, even though they're not there. So what this does is it gives you 2 options. So one is the GPS location, and you can set a radius. So what that's going to do is whenever they go to that URL for your remote Falcon page, then it's going to ask them if they are willing to share their location. If they click no, then they're not going to be able to vote. But if they click yes, then it's going to grab the location off of their phone, and it's going to check to see that they're within this half-mile radius. If they are, they're allowed to vote. If they're outside of that half-mile radius, then they can't vote. So that keeps some spammers from coming and getting your URL and then going back home and voting when they're not actually out there viewing your show. And the other option is a code. So with this code, then you could put on your sign out front or on your panels, P5 panels, P10 panels, whatever you're using, or some kind of matrices or wherever. But you can put a code, and they'll have to enter this code to basically gain access to voting or the jukebox. So this is something that you could set up, and then if you notice that people are not out front, but you're getting votes, then you can just change the code. But you'd also have to change the way you're displaying that code to your viewers as well. So keep that in mind. There's a few extra complications with it, but you might have some users that are wary about sharing their GPS location or whatnot with you. So this is a kind of a second option that you would have. I prefer to keep this off. I have not had any issues with people voting that are not out front, but if you start having issues, then that capability is here that you can turn it on. And I think this is more for people that have really large shows, very popular, or you might have shown it on YouTube or something like that. People will go and just kind of want to mess with you, so you come and turn this on, and you can limit um, to just the people that are present right there. And so this one here is hiding that sequence. So like I was talking about earlier, if somebody comes and they spam Mariah Carey and is playing over and over and over again, I have a little radio set up in my house. Then it plays really low, but I can hear the show going on outside. So I can kind of tell whether my regular sequence is going or whether somebody has voted. With this, then yeah, if you start hearing that same song over and over and over again, then somebody went and spammed it. So what you can do is you can hide it, right? So that Mariah Carey song, after it's played, then you can say, hey, it's not even going to be available until after 10 songs have played. And then it will show back up for people to vote. So somebody doesn't just spam the same song over and over again. So that's most of your settings that will allow you to configure the uh, the way that it operates, that Remote Falcon operates. And then in here in your viewer page is where you can configure how it looks, right? So right here, you can set up multiple viewer pages if you would like. And then in here, you can set whichever one is active. So you can have, maybe you have one for Christmas and you have one for Halloween. Then you can set those in here. So you have multiples and you don't have to like change it on the fly. And then you're setting your title. It's pretty standard here. So that's just what's going to show up here as far as the on the tab. And uh, an icon URL. So by default, it's going to show this Remote Falcon, but you have the option of changing that. So if you have a custom icon for for your specific show, then you can put that in here. So keep in mind that you're going to need to host any of the stuff that we talk about as far as images and all go. You're going to need to host them on your own somewhere. So you can't upload them to Remote Falcon, right? Their storage would have to expand to allow, who knows, thousands of people. So they will accept a URL here, but they don't allow you to upload it. So just keep that in mind. You have to host it somewhere. For me, I've got multiple websites. I've got, the Blinky Pixels website. I've got the Brooks Life. I've got Bradford Lights, multiple places that I can host any of these images. And then I would just put that URL to the image in here, and that's what it would draw down. And then here you have the option to make it snow. So this is kind of something new that was added. If you look on mine, it has this snow, but the snow was built in to the template that I used. And if we put this on, I think it adds like a different type. Might be some of these up here. Yeah, see these bigger ones. I think it's those. But just something to play around with if you're setting up your viewer page. So let's see. Right here is where you're going to adjust and modify the code for your page. So all of this here, this is the code for it. Now you don't have to go and write it. There's already templates out there. And probably the way you're going to want to start is you're going to go grab one of those templates, and that's going to get you, 90% of the way. And then you're going to scroll through this template, and that's where you can make your modifications. So in here, I don't know if you have any experience with HTML or any kind of, web coding, but this is all CSS. So this is styling that you have up here at the top. So it's just going to set like your border sizes and your fonts and your colors and whether things are centered and left aligned and that kind of thing. And you can come through here and kind of read it. So this is the main body. So it's going to set like an overall background color and your borders, unless something overwrites it later. And then here's your links. So like the URL links, if somebody clicks on one like down here, what those look like. But you can kind of scroll through this and modify it, and then you can see what it looks like, right? And I think if we come in here, we can do a split screen. So you can make the modifications in here, and it'll actually show you live, what the modifications look like. So you don't have to go back over here and refresh and that kind of thing. But what you'll mostly change to start with is you're going to come down, and every template's going to be a little bit different, but you'll come down here and you're going to find where kind of your show information is. So here's my show hours, and I'm going to modify this and change that. So if I change this to the 30th, then you'll see that it's now changed over here. And then you would save that template, and that's going to modify what your viewers actually see. So there's a lot of power in here, but there's a lot of responsibility too. If you take out, some of the uh, the code, then you can mess things up. So just be a little bit careful. Worst case scenario, you can back these up. So back it up before you start messing with it. Come in and make it good and you like it, then make another backup. So you can also have the capability to come in when people were voting, you saw the ho ho ho, you're on the nice list, or the one that said don't be a Grinch. So all these messages, you can come in and change them. And yeah, just a lot of options that you have in here, and making it look the way that you want. And the templates that I'm talking about, they are here. So if you come and you look at these are some free templates, and you see there's a few of them here. So kind of look through. This is what the main template would look like for this one, and then you can pick through and find one that you like. You might have one, like I said earlier, for Halloween, one for Christmas. I think this is the one that I'm using. And for Bradford lights, it actually shows a little bit different. So I'll show you if I actually go to. So this is my actual show. And you see I went to bradfordlights.com, but then it forwarded over to Remote Falcon. And then this is going to show like my custom stuff that I placed in. So this is my actual paid receive, and they pull up and they type in bradfordlights.com. Right, so you have that option to come in here and play around with these templates and get that set up. And the only other thing is here in these sequences. So you have a little bit of customization here as well. So whenever we brought these sequences over from here in our playlist, then they have these default names. So you can come in and you can change the name. So if I just wanted this to say blue instead of candy cane blue, then it'll change the display name, and I'll show you in just a second. It actually changes it for what the viewer sees. You can put a URL in here for an image. So let's say you have an album cover, or the song image, then you can upload those images to wherever your storage is, and then put that URL here. and it makes it really nice for your viewers to come through and they can see the album cover instead of just looking at the song name. And then you also have the option of doing groupings. So let's say I've heard of some people, they'll have like on Sunday night they'll do religious and traditional Christmas songs, and then maybe on a Monday or Tuesday they have like more upbeat and rock songs and that kind of thing. Um, you can set them in groups, and then when somebody votes, they'll actually vote for the group, and it'll play like all the songs that you have in the traditional group. Or let's say you have um a whole sequence that goes through some dialogue, and then it goes into a song. You can set that here in this group, so it would play all of those sequences as a group rather than individually. So here you see where we change the name. And then if I come and look in here, so now it says blue instead of the candy cane green or yellow. So a way that you can quickly come in and kind of modify that. You can also play stuff from in here. So if I wanted to play the blue from the candy cane, then I can come and manually do it from in here. And then we should see in here that after this red is done, should be done in just a second. And then now it's gonna play the blue. And you can hide stuff too. So if we wanted to hide this from people, then they're not going to be able to see the blue in here. So if you have a song, maybe you're working on the sequence or something, or you just wanted to take it out of your selection, then that's a quick way you can come in and take it out without deleting the whole thing. All right, so that's all the settings. And then I'll quickly go over some of these tips and tricks, and then we'll open it up for questions. So some of the tips and tricks, we've already covered some of those, but I said that we could automate some of this. So if you come into your scheduler, you notice that I just have this main playlist going right now. So in my real show, what you would do is you add another line, and then you come to the schedule type and you change it to command. And in here, it's going to give you, if you scroll down, it's going to give you these remote Falcon options. So what I would do is I'd turn viewer control on and then accept those changes. And then I'll slide this up, and I would set this, the same kind of the same schedule, but I might set it at, let's do 7:55 kind of thing. So my show is going to turn on, and then it's going to turn viewer control on. So before my actual show starts playing, then the viewers can come in and they can go to, for me, bradfordlights.com, and then they can start playing a song right away. And then at the end of the night, then you'll do another one of these, and you go to command, and then you will do turn viewer control off. And what that will do is your main show is done, you're shutting your show down, it turns the control off, and then it's going to make your page automatically change from on air to off air. And um, yeah, so they can't vote anymore. What I use this for is in the morning, I run static sequences. So the kids are on the buses and all. I don't want to play a full show, but sometimes you have people that will come by and they want to see a song. So I have multiple playlists in here, and in the morning I have a static playlist that just kind of goes through traditional Christmas light look, but I turn on Remote Falcon. So if anybody pulls up and they want to see a sequence, then they have the option of coming in and voting for a song, and then they can watch that sequence, and then it'll go right back to my static sequences after that. And then you have some other options in here. So what I like to do as well is I restart this listener. So I purge the votes. So I make sure I start with 0 votes. Once it's on, then I'll make sure that it zeroes out all the votes. And then I also will come in and I will restart the listener. So what this does is it just kind of cleans everything up. So, oops, come on up here. And all of this will be set for like my main show. So what it'll do is it'll turn the viewer control on, it zeroes out the votes, restarts the listener. So we're starting on like a good, clean slate for the show to start for that night. Then your main show will run and it will continue to run until somebody comes and interrupts it by making a request. And then it'll play that request and then it'll come right back to your main show. And then at the end of the night, it turns everything off and you're good to go there. And then the only other thing is the personal URL redirect, which I kind of showed you. You would go to wherever you're hosting your domain, and then you would do a forward. So I'm forwarding any request to bradfordlights.com. I just forward it to this remotefalcon.com. If you're a little more advanced than that, there is an API in Remote Falcon that you can use. So I don't know. I haven't used it, but uh, yeah, you can go through the documentation and you can connect to the API, and the API is going to give you the ability to do all of this. So you don't have to forward. You can actually make this a piece of your website instead of your entire website, and you could do that with the API functionality. So with that, I will come back to, let's see, new share. And let's look at this guy. Whoops. Hold on 1 second. This is the one I want to show. All right. So we covered all of those. And just as I should have shown this in the beginning, but just to show you don't need anything special to run Remote Falcon. It's a plugin. So your typical setup is what's going to work. So this is what I'm using here. This is the computer that I'm on, and it's connected to my router and my Wi-Fi. And then I have a Raspberry Pi connected to an F16 V3, and that's connected to the candy cane that you saw behind me. So nothing special. Your show, if you're running FPP, will be able to interface with Remote Falcon and make it work. And then here are some of the URLs. So remotefalcon.com, that's where you'll go sign up. If you haven't installed FPP, then here's a link for that. And then kind of for our demo today, the flashy little lights.remotefalcon.com. That's where you can go in and you can play with the site and make that candy cane change colors. And with that, let's open the floor for any questions. I see some in chat. I haven't been able to kind of look at that, but
Yeah. So it seems like a lot were covered, Phil. We got 10 minutes. Bill from Oregon, or Bill Loire, had a question as far as the album art. He can go ahead and unmute, but it was, some of them are coming in once he uploads as different sizes. Is there an auto size on that feature, or does he have to resize those as he uploads? Or links, I should say, not upload.
So I'm using the Amazon links for the album art, and it doesn't seem that Amazon is very consistent. And so when the Remote Falcon page displays, it some of the album art will be full screen, others are just the icons, and I'm just not sure if there's a way that I can force the size in the HTML that is provided by Falcon.
so you can, and you can do that through CSS. So you can go and like manually adjust that image size, or in here, where is it? In here in your viewer page and some of the CSS. So wherever that image is, so let's see if we can find one real quick.
You stopped sharing, just so you know, Phil.
Oops, okay. All right, can you see it here?
Yep.
All right. So in here in this viewer page, if you look here, so here's an image and here's the source of that image. And you can see that there's a div here, and that div is the jukebox dynamic container. So you could create a div and name it whatever you want. And then up here in the CSS, you would put that name and then you can set the width and the height. So you can actually set the image size up here, and that will dynamically adjust it. So you don't have to go in and adjust the image size through like your image editing software. The CSS will do it for you. So there's a little bit more to it, but that's kind of the way that you would do it. You would just put that image inside of a div, or you could name it. So like in here, here's an image, and then you can put name equals whatever it is, and then reference it up there in your CSS, and that'll resize it for you.
Perfect. Aaron has his hand up. Aaron, if you have a question, go ahead.
Yeah, so when you were showing, well, on that page right there, so is there anything, any place you can make changes anywhere except inside the HTML code to the page? Like when you show the
No.
screen,
So it's just a single page, and so when you change all of this HTML in here, then you're changing, what displays on that page. Now there are some calls back, so like this next playlist and then the jukebox queue and all. So those are calling back to some of these other settings that are set up in here. But yeah, I mean, as far as like changing the looks and the functionality, then yeah, you just have the HTML that's here in this viewer page.
Okay, thanks.
Christmas Dave had one. Can you clear stats at any time? For example, I'm testing over the next few months. Can I clear out those stats before the show starts in December?
Yes. I don't remember where, but yeah, I believe there is a way to clear the stats out. Wonder if it's in here. Yeah, I'm not sure where it is. I can get back to you on that, but yes, there is a way to clear, and these are the stats you're talking about, right? I believe. But yeah, I think you can clear those and zero them out.
Perfect. Trevor, did he cover your question as he was going through the page elements? Yep, he says he thinks he did. And Phil, I don't see any other questions, honestly. If anybody does, go ahead and unmute, speak up, please.
All right. I would say silence is no further questions.
Perfect. Phil, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording now. If anybody has last minute questions, go ahead and speak up. Other than that, again, thank you very much. It was very informative.